Happy Tuesday and welcome back to another exciting episode of the Rocketeer Minute, where each and every day, Monday through Friday, we go over 1 minute of the greatest adventure movie that Walt Disney ever made, the 1991 Joe Johnston-directed feature, The Rocketeer. I'm one of your hosts, Jim O'Kane of TVDads.com.
And I'm Hal Bryan, an airplane nerd from the Experimental Aircraft Association here in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. Now, Jim, we've got a friend of yours on the show with us tonight, somebody with a pretty fascinating resume of her own. Why don't you tell us about her?
Oh, sure. This is a longtime friend of mine since the days of TV Dads. She was actually the star of a single TV Dads show. She was Miranda in the 1987 TV show, Raising Miranda.
88?
88? Oh,
80,
okay.
I think.
88, yeah. Wow. It's been a while. But
Yeah.
she was up front. She was the headliner of that show. And I've known her for not quite as long as that, but we've been pals for quite some time, and she's my major Hollywood connection to the world of stars and how they get where they are today. But please welcome my friend and Hollywood star Royana Black.
You're
Yay.
the nicest, Jim. You're awesome. Thank you.
It's always great having you on the show, and you are my go-to gal for information on how this whole crazy business works. And speaking of crazy business, dear old Cliff and Jenny are here talking about their individual careers, and we're finding out how Jenny gets her jobs in front of behind Myrna Loy and a bowl of grapes and things like that. So
right,
yeah.
But she, like many other people in Hollywood, are struggling actresses who are always looking for work. And I mean, things have changed a bit since then, but you're always reading the trades and trying to figure out who's hiring and what the pilot seasons are and things like that. And you've been going on with that for a lot of your life.
I mean, since I was 10,
Wow.
and I'm over 30 now. That's all I'll say.
Yeah.
Well over 30. But yeah, a long time.
You're a seasoned actress, and you know the score, you know the business. I guess it is a tough one, and we've got Hal and I have been talking Hollywood for a while now, and we've got a million questions, and you're gonna feed us through this. So
Oh gosh, okay.
That sounds like an order, Jim.
Yeah.
I know.
Welcome to the show, Rihanna. Here's what you're going to do.
You're gonna tell us, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
From my bedroom.
We're gonna call Lothar in. And
Yeah, exactly. Pull you in half.
So, but no, we'll be nice. But we do need to know about, basically being. We know there's like different levels of being an actor, that you're either scenery, or you have a minor role, or you're a featured player, or you're the star, and getting into that business of doing auditions, or even just like the paperwork of getting a SAG card and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Generally, how do these things work? Let's go down to that. When you have when you're working on a Hollywood picture, you need to belong to the Screen Actors Guild, and now I guess they've merged the Federation of Television Actors, AFTRA, has merged with SAG a couple of years ago. So it's one big happy family. Now, if you're in Actors Equity, does that mean you already have a SAG card? Are they complementary or?
No, they're sister unions, but Equity is only theater.
Okay.
So, I mean, technically we're all supposed to work together. I have a little beef with Equity right now.
I understand, yes.
So, as do a lot of theater actors in LA. We can get into that another time.
Oh, no, if you want to talk about it, that's fine. I mean, this is an active thing.
No.
Okay.
We're not afraid to name
it's
names.
Fine. It's just they're trying to do away with volunteer theater here in LA for Equity actors. And they basically passed a resolution, even though 2/3 of us voted against it. And so, the question now is, do we all go financial core? Do we pay our dues and change our names? Like, what do we do if we want to do unpaid theater?
Yeah, and unpaid theater, what's known as the 99 seaters out there, the small theaters, is where people walk the boards to keep their chops going, or learn more about it, work with seasoned professionals and understand how the acting profession works. Taking that away that would really change the whole nature of Hollywood.
It really would, and we're not New York is always the thing that I think. LA's not a theater town to begin with, so it's not like people are clamoring to go see Broadway shows here. So I don't really know what the harm is. Plus, a lot of the 99 seat shows go to contract.
Yeah.
But that could be a conversation for another day. But that's just the backstory of what's been going on.
Okay, well, we're with you. I mean, from Santa Monica to Pasadena, everybody goes to these little theaters, and it is an important part of the Hollywood life. I mean, L.A. LA is all about drama and comedy, and this is a drama that's a little bit too real. So it's
Ain't that the truth?
Yeah, but so we go from the theater to the screen, and I mean, there's another problem going on in Hollywood is that people aren't making as many films in the LA area as they used to. I mean, they take it out to Vancouver and to Providence, Rhode Island, and they move out of the town because it's becoming increasingly harder to make a movie in what used to be, the factory of Hollywood.
It's very interesting. I feel like this, I've been doing this for so long. It seems very cyclical. I feel like this has happened before, and eventually, just like production in New York is starting to pick up again, apparently, which happens every, 10, 15 years, and then it dries up there and it'll come back here. I say that optimistically because I live here.
You're on the other coast all the time, and you're from New York. I mean, you're a New Yorker.
I am born and raised. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I guess there's enough room, and with so many buckets to fill. I mean, you've got the big screen, you've got TV, you've got cable, you've got on demand, you've got mobile devices,
Hulu, Amazon,
all that stuff, and they need it 24/7, and people don't want to sit around and watch. I mean, as nice as Duck Soup is, when you see it for the 800th time on Netflix, and you go, I really don't want to watch this, and I really don't want to watch the the 15th rendition, funny as it is, of 30 Rock. I need something new. So we're always going to have new shows and people to fill say the words on the screens.
Yeah, and thank God for Netflix and Amazon and Hulu.
Yeah,
because they're really producing some great stuff. And my understanding is that they're going to be shooting a little more in LA.
Yeah.
In the next year,
very
so
cool.
that's exciting.
Wow.
Yeah.
It was interesting. I've got a really good friend who may come on the show later, is working on The Man in the High Castle for Amazon. I know, it's amazing. He's a military historian but a prop maker by trade, so he does just about every sort of hero prop you see in it. And it was interesting for me. I'd come originally from the Seattle area for most of my life, anyway. And there was a period I remember, mid '80s in particular, when all of a sudden Seattle was out there beating the drum. We're going to be Hollywood North. Everything's going to come here, and I was pretty excited about this. I was acting a lot in high school and particularly in college. And then all of a sudden Vancouver stepped up and said, well, we're like Seattle, only cheaper. And everything in Seattle just fizzled. But it was funny that some of the pilot for A Man in High Castle was shot in Seattle, but that's very much the exception now, not the rule. If you're going to be anywhere in the Northwest, it's Vancouver.
Wow.
Which is very pretty, but.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a lovely city. Yeah. And it plays Seattle. It poses as Seattle in a lot of scenes, but,
it's just so silly. It's like, why not go to Seattle? You're right there.
Right. Exactly.
Why would you make Vancouver look like Seattle?
I don't know.
Frustrating. Wow.
Anyway.
But again, it's just crazy business. But there's still people that want to be part of it. I guess there's no business like it. That you can write a song about.
So the song goes. Yeah.
I'll tell you what was fascinating about this particular minute was, and later in the movie, but is Margot Martindale.
Yes.
Behind the counter, who has worked forever and ever and ever, and finally with the Americans has just blown up.
Yeah.
But I mean, I didn't even remember she was in this movie till I watched it again. She's got such a perfect example of a kind of career you could have. You just keep plugging along, and then all of a sudden you're winning an Emmy.
Wow. And I mean, you've been in movies with people like this. I know one of your earlier movies with some fellow actor of The Rocketeer, Paul Sorvino. One of your co-stars was Mary Wicks, who was in everything from 1930s movies up to Sister Act.
Yeah.
And you get on a train like that, it just never pulls into the station. You just keep going and going.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And this film is filled with character actors. All those guys that are sitting at the counter. William Sanderson, he was in Blade Runner. He was in Newhart. He was
Larry.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Melora Hardin later on in the movie, she's the singer in the club.
Yeah, and she's in The Office.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Just and she was originally going to be Marty McFly's boyfriend, but when they
or girlfriend
or girlfriend. I'm sorry,
whatever.
Yeah, whatever. It was a different time.
It's all about attention to
fine.
detail
Yes.
in the show. We're analyzing a movie minute by minute. we go after the hard facts.
Yes. But she was going to be the significant other of Marty McFly. But when they let Eric Stoltz go, she was courting. Well, we'll tell that story later on with someone who had
Oh, yeah.
knowledge of it. But she was too tall for Michael J. Fox apparently. So
Well,
they
who isn't? But
yeah,
I love him. But
Yeah.
I not to go back to Melora Hardin, but she did a little series called Dirty Dancing, the series, which was our lead-in when I did Raising Miranda.
Wow.
Because the world is that small.
Wow.
Yeah, I remember that she had done that series, but wow, I didn't realize that led right into yours. And Bryan Cranston was in your show, wasn't he?
Yes.
Yeah, he's lovely.
Yes. And James Naughton.
Naughton. Yep.
The voice of Cialis.
You know how uncomfortable that makes me? He played my dad. Like, it's so creepy and gross.
Can't look at a clawfoot tub ever again. Just no.
I have to mute the TV when those ads come on.
If anybody out there is ever bored and you Google my name, Hal Bryan, you will find Bryan Cranston a lot because he played Hal on Malcolm in the Middle. And so when you're Googling me, here's a tip for my stalkers out there: is just put a minus sign and then Cranston after that, and then it guarantees that you're stalking me and not him. I'm sure he would tell you the same thing.
Wow.
Well, now I know how to stalk you more efficiently, Hal. So thank you.
That's again, it's a service we provide.
Appreciate it.
That's all it is. Anyway.
But it's all about the business. And yeah, Cranston, his career went off into such a, who would have thought where he wound up? I mean, when you watched Malcolm in the Middle, did you think he was going to wind up being a murderous meth dealer?
Yeah, what an amazing trajectory. He was wonderful on Malcolm in the Middle. I mean, he could have dined out on that for the rest of his career, probably.
And starting out as Royana's flaky hippie uncle. It was just
right.
He was great in that show. I may have been the only one to see that show lately, but it's
lately. I think you were like one of the 5 people who watched it ever. Sorry, that was not nice, but it's true. We didn't last very long.
It's probably the need of it'll probably turn up on Netflix. They'll have it as a limited run and people can binge watch it all.
God, that would be awesome.
Was it 5 episodes or 6 or?
We shot 9 and 8 aired.
Ah, okay. So there's a lost episode. Okay.
Yes, if anyone has it.
What network were you on?
We were on CBS.
Okay,
Saturday night at 8:30. Not the best time slot.
No, not at all.
I was going to guess teenage girls are watching TV at Saturday.
Right.
Yeah.
I was going to guess Fox on Friday night. Shot 9, 8 aired, canceled before its time. That seems to be Fox's MO. But
who were you up against? Do you remember who you were up against?
I do. I can't believe it. We were Murphy's Law on ABC and 227 on NBC. Not that I'm bitter about those shows. Stealing our ratings.
Yeah, you bump into Jack Hay at Ralph's and you just start slapping your fist into your palm. Oh, yeah.
I would do that anyway. She always drove me nuts.
Total closure.
But
Murphy's Law, was that George Siegel? Does that sound right?
Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah. And I remember they were just hoping people were confusing it with Murphy Brown. But yeah, that was the 80s were a strange time. There were so much. And did you get moved at all? I thought you had been moved around.
We got preempted. We got moved around because of things like I feel like the World Series or like award shows. We never really stayed Saturday nights at 8:30. I think a couple weeks, and then we just kept getting moved, and it's hard to find an audience that way.
Yeah. Oh, I enjoyed the show. Just to let you know, you did entertain people, and that's the point.
I loved working on it, and everyone was. It was a really wonderful experience, to be honest.
And it gave you another notch in your belt for understanding how the business worked. I mean, doing stuff with network TV and And if
anybody's out there and wants to hire me, I do have a history of making the people I work with famous.
Yes.
Like I did an after-school special with Kimberly Williams. She had a tiny part. Then she does Father of the Bride, Bryan Cranston.
I was just going to mention the after-school special. I couldn't believe that when I saw that on IMDb. I think it was probably one when I was a bit older. So, it was like 10 years after school for me. But still, as a kid, that was an institution to me.
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
They're not on it anymore, huh? Like, I don't think kids know what they are.
No, they're all on demand. They don't go at home after school. They're watching it at school and things like that. That's the problem.
Right.
But yeah, look at Paul Sorvino. He's in that family friendly movie that you're in, and then 2 years later he's doing Goodfellas, and then he does this. So
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, you are the stairway to other people's success.
I know. So seriously, if anybody wants to be famous,
Yeah.
get me. I'm your friend.
What on earth is going to happen to us, Jim?
You're a one. Yeah, we.
Look, I don't want to say anything, Jim, but I'm just saying I did the first podcast, and now look what's happening with this one.
Billy Campbell.
I'm just saying.
You're the kingmaker. That's the way it is. It's just whoosh. I feel like I'm on American Idol with you every day. It's
God,
wonderful.
everybody's gonna think I'm such a jerk. I'm totally kidding.
No, you're great. You're great. You're really great. I'm I'm one of your biggest fans in the fan club there. So
Right back at you.
But and who knows who's listening? You might wind up in Vancouver sometime on a limited series somewhere. By the way, RoyanaBlack.com for all of your acting needs.
I gotta update my website.
Yeah, get on that. You're on thousands of headphones where people are riding their treadmills.
Yep, and we record in advance, so you've got just a few days.
Yeah,
awesome.
But
awesome.
We were talking about some movie with about a diner
Billy
or
Campbell.
something. That's yeah. So
Jennifer Connelly. Yeah.
So we're back and we're seeing America Martin walking in the door with gosh, I had something. I have a plaid shirt that America Martin is Patsy is wearing. I had that exact shirt, and she's carrying a very interesting. A little airplane. Hal, I think you know something about that little toy airplane.
Why, thank you for that setup, Jim. As a matter of fact, I've done my homework. That is it's a model of a Lockheed Vega, and that airplane is to some best known as the Winnie Mae, flown by Wiley Post, setting all kinds of amazing altitude records throughout the 30s. But maybe more people would know the name Amelia Earhart. So that was the type of airplane that she flew. 1932. This was a few years before her disappearance. And to me, this is the flight she should be famous for. She flew nonstop across the Atlantic and was only the second person to do so since Lindbergh. Never mind that she was the first woman. Just in 5 years, nobody else had made a flight of that distance across the Atlantic like that. So she had done that. So Lockheed Vega is a big deal. It makes a lot of sense that a kid like Patsy would have one there. Now the model itself is made by a company called Wyandotte. It's a real toy of the period. They started in about 1920 in Wyandotte, Michigan. And sorry, it's the all metal products company, but then they had a brand called Wyandotte Toys. They started in cap guns and things like that, and eventually sold out a lot of stuff to Louis Marks and to Daisy. So if you know your toys, those are two much bigger brands. But they were there in Michigan, and what they would do is they would buy up scrap from all the big car companies in Detroit, and take their scrap metal and then do pressed metal toys like this. And they were simple. Usually the wing is, you can see in this minute, the wings are one color, the fuselage is another color. But they last. And at any given time, there's 3 or 4 of these on eBay. The Wyandotte Lockheed Vega going from starting at $20, and sometimes people are asking several hundred for them. But it was a really nice touch to have an actual sort of period appropriate toy. I kind of envisioned maybe this was something that maybe was a hand me down to Patsy. She doesn't look like she's the most well off kid around. And then, of course, that, Malcolm has to fix it. But you get that nice little close-up shot of him putting the wood wheel on there. These actually came with wood wheels. So there's no reason to think that this little model isn't not just a simple prop, but it's absolutely authentic from I would say mid-30s. So it's, it's maybe a few years old at this point. It's not a brand shiny new toy.
And it's made out of like the door of a Model A or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Or, a little bit of steel from a Buick or who knows what.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
So it's an amazingly nice little touch. And then of course, Jim, when Malcolm slips, he's a bit clumsy, and we're establishing that. And of course, the wheel flies across the room. On an upcoming episode, we're going to learn who threw the wheel for that shot.
Yes.
Maybe we don't want to spoil it right now.
Yeah.
But
that very large splash has a hand. There's literally a hand behind that. So we'll talk about that in the near future. So keep
teaser.
Stay tuned.
If that doesn't keep them coming back, I mean, who threw the wheel in the soup? That's that's our Who Killed Laura Palmer right there.
And in our the English composition part of this thing is there seems to be a theme in this movie about tomato soup and it involving Jenny, and I don't know what kind of messages that means, but she just seems to have many interactions with soup in this movie.
And there's always something foreign in the bowl.
And who
The woman cannot just get a good bowl of soup.
That's so weird.
who orders soup on a date?
Yes.
That's the one thing I cannot figure. That's not. I mean, I can't figure out how long they've been going out together, but I don't think it's been that long. Maybe.
Well, I
But
don't
who's
know.
trying to?
Sorry,
Go ahead, Ray. No, go
I
ahead,
was just
Ray.
going to say, if you're going to order soup on a date, why are you complaining about where you're going?
Yeah.
Right? She
Yeah,
wants to go to
that's true.
fancy places so she can get
Right.
fancier soup?
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, she should have ordered tamales or ice cream like it says on the dog out front.
yeah, exactly. It doesn't say soup on the paw. It's clearly not their specialty.
Ah, gosh. I mean,
But you think about it though, ordering soup on a date. Who's trying to impress whom here? I mean, if it were a first or an early date for me, I'm not going to be the guy there slurping, trying to impress the girl. But really, Jenny Blake doesn't have to work too hard, I think, to keep Cliff wrapped around her finger.
No.
Can I tell a bad date story? Is that all right?
Please.
Let me just lay back on this couch and I'll just go through some
right.
therapy.
Jim, Royana, and I are here. We're going to get you through this.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yes, absolutely, Jim.
I
Tell
used-
us your problems.
A long time ago, I used to work for Radio Shack back when there was a Radio Shack everywhere, and I worked for $2.05 an hour, and it didn't make a lot of money. But I had moved to Dallas, and I had started going out with this girl, and she wanted to go out to dinner, and I was like, okay. So I had saved up some money, and I had like $60. I was like, this is great. I can take her out to dinner. We go. I said, where do you want to go? And she named this place in Dallas, and I said, okay, let's go there. She goes, it's a dress-up kind of place. I said, okay, well, get out. So I shirt and tie, pick her up. And I take her to the place, and I open up this menu that was her favorite restaurant, and I look, and this is back in the 80s, and everything was double digits, and I was and none of them started with a 1. I was like,
Oh no.
oh, so I was like, okay. Anyway, she sat down, and she said, oh, I know what I love in this place. She said, I always order it when I'm here.
No.
Yes. She goes,
Oh no.
it's called Surf and Turf.
Oh.
No! Come on!
And this was like, well, actually, it was like it was 1979. And the Surf and Turf was something like $38. And,
Jeez.
and it was like, and she ordered an appetizer, which was like shrimp cocktail. And that was like double digits. And I was like, I'm just not really feeling that good. So what I did on that date was I ordered soup. I said, I'm just not really
You
feeling
ordered
that
soup.
great.
Oh.
So
That's the saddest thing. Yeah, I don't think there is any recovery from that, Jim. I don't think we're going to be able to help you through this.
I don't. Yeah.
That's just too
I
sad.
blame the girl. I
Yeah.
totally
Oh, yeah.
blame the girl. You don't do that on a date. You don't demand a fancy restaurant. This is, of course, why I dated a lot of losers before I met my wonderful husband. But
I mean, I have no
because
problems.
I was like, what? Burger King? Great.
Yeah, I have no problems, getting things, but it was like I felt like I was getting picked up by the ankles and having all the change shaken out of my pockets. I was like, what are we doing? And she wanted to go to the movies afterwards. And it's like, I'm not feeling very good. It's like I didn't have enough money for gas to get home. And it was like,
Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
Jim.
that was a long time ago, and I'm a grandfather now, so everything all turned out right. But
So where is she today? Let's get her on the show.
No. I do not want to look. I'm not even mention the name of the restaurant. It was a long time ago,
Okay.
and I've learned from that experience, and I've grown.
Did you
Well,
guys
okay.
have another date after that?
I think she started going out with another friend of mine, and I didn't warn him about it, and that they never. I don't think anything became of that. So it's like, fortunately, it all just took an off ramp, and I never got involved with that again.
Wow. Do you feel better that you told that story now?
Yes, now it's cleansing.
Good.
So if we had gone to this diner, she might be Mrs. O'Kane by now. But anyway.
She doesn't deserve you, Jim.
No,
all I'm saying.
my wife
You
would
did
go to
better.
a diner like this and love it. She would love this diner.
Right?
Oh,
That's a keeper. She's a keeper.
tamales and an ice cream, and she'd be swell. So she wouldn't care how many plane wheels dropped in her soup.
My wife would still be outside taking a picture of the building.
Yes.
So because it is one adorable restaurant.
It
That
is,
dog is awesome.
isn't it? Isn't it? Now
So awesome.
you live in L.A. and L.A. has everything from like Randy's Donuts to all that other. I mean, outside of the New York, New Jersey, well, the New England area and Pennsylvania, of course. Diner culture in LA is king. I mean, it's just I love LA diners and what's available out there.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
What is your favorite diner in LA?
Ooh. There's a place in North Hollywood. It used to be called, I think the guy's name was Sittens, which is a funny name. And there was like a statue of a waiter outside. I don't think it's called that anymore because it was embarrassing, I guess. Sittens. But we used to go there after our theater company had meetings, and it was super good and way too overpriced for what it was. And I ate a lot of onion rings there.
You avoided the surf and turf?
I did avoid this. I told her I was a cheap date, man.
Yeah. Waffles, I'm here. Yes.
Yeah, it's still there, and the food's still really good. It's just not called Sittens.
Aw, that's a shame.
Maybe that's best.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? There was also a really cool diner. They tore it down recently, called Silver Spoon in West Hollywood, and Shelley Winters was always there in one of the booths, and
Really?
Robert Forster was there a lot.
Oh wow. Really?
Yeah, so those were always cool sightings, especially Shelley Winters.
Yeah. You gotta. If only we were doing the Poseidon Adventure Minute, that would have been. Anyway.
Oh man.
Things that could have been. But yeah, it's. I mean, diner culture is wonderful, and I'm sorry I've never eaten in a dog, but I want to. Just looking at this place, you're like, oh, I want to go in the dog's, in between the dog's legs and climb in the front door and just. I'm
sorry I've never eaten in a dog.
Well, it's like,
can we make that like the quote from this episode?
I was going to say I thought we were doing well with who threw the wheel in the soup.
That's it.
But
yeah.
now we've got. I'm sorry I've never eaten in a dog.
It's going places. Yeah. No, this is such a great
catchphrase a minute.
Yeah. I just love that. I just love that diner. I want those dishes. Somebody has those dishes too. Somewhere somebody in the Disney organization or maybe they were rentals. They were probably rentals. But poor Jenny. It's like ordering spaghetti when you're wearing white. You just don't order anything that's orange when you've got something that can easily stain, especially when somebody's throwing airplane wheels at you.
And speaking of wearing white, though, this is after Labor Day.
Yes, that's true. It's October.
Just putting that out there.
Of course, he's wearing khakis, so that's close enough the wrong thing.
But you're right. She's committing a major faux pas.
Yeah. But maybe it's the only thing she had clean, and now nothing's clean. So, oh well.
Also, I hate to be the one to bring this up, but I realize that she's a good girl with Billy Campbell's character, and she's wearing a little pinafore, but then later on in the movie, there's a whole lot of cleavage going on.
Oh, yeah.
Just saying.
Well, she's out to impress W.C. Fields, but that's another minute.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And while we're being catty, if it's Jim, you know how I get. I have really been hesitant to bring this up, but Royana, you dove in, so to speak, head first. So in before the South Seas Club scenes, in certain close-ups, you can see that Jenny has not plucked her eyebrows. And there's a marked difference when you see her in close-ups in the South Seas Club.
I said it. That now.
I said it.
Oh, now, if you really want to get into this, when she gets to the South Seas Club versus what you're seeing here,
sure.
Like second 52, watch her right eye for the sty that appears. She doesn't have a sty in this one, but they had to go cover girl for when she's shooting in the Laughing Bandit and when she's in the South Seas Club, and it's even mentioned in IMDb, which we never trust anyway. But yeah, it's very noticeable. So
yes. Yeah, we've been burned by IMDb.
Yeah,
well, I have, at least in particular, but.
I have too. It's not my real age. Just kidding.
Yeah. She's really 21.
I thought it was 27 is what it said, but
thank you.
Yeah.
Can I not be catty for 1 second though,
Sure.
and say that Jennifer Connelly's eyes are that beautiful that I didn't notice either of those things, and that's something I would totally notice.
Yeah. No, she's stunning. She's. It's hard watching her and not. I mean, it's hard looking at her not just having her mouth hang open, but how just pretty she is. She's just so pretty and very. I mean, she has like an Elizabeth Taylor quality about her face. It's just very. She has a very
Pretty.
modeled face, and yeah, just it's symmetric and just amazing. So
Yeah,
But
she's
beautiful people get styes too.
yeah, so there.
Yes.
I think that's the lesson here.
I feel better about that.
Clearly.
Yeah.
And don't
Clearly.
always tweeze.
Yeah, so
Don't always tweeze,
there we have it.
especially if you're just going to be eating in a dog.
Yeah,
I guess.
that's true. And it's
having soup.
yeah, and it's 70 years before threading, so it's these things don't happen. So
I'm so alarmed that you know what that is too.
I've been to shopping malls. I see these places that used to be arcades that are now threading nail parlors. So that's all I know about it. What a well-lit diner this is. There are so many light sources. I just can't. Everybody has a key light and a fill light and a backlight. No matter where you're sitting, it's fantastic. But someday, maybe Disney will get smart enough to build one of these things in their California adventure out in Disneyland, and people could go eat in a dog.
It's really a cool idea. I can't believe it hasn't been. Maybe PETA would get upset. I don't know.
I don't know. It would have to be a really big dog, though. I mean, if you think about the crowds at like California Adventure and stuff. Anyway,
there is a replica in the Peterson Automotive Museum that I think was about. We talked about it just a day or two ago. It was sort of going to be torn down, but then it was saved, and so we think it's still there. I'll have to look at that and see. But I don't know if you can actually eat in it, or if you just sort of walk in and look around. Which, when you're going in a dog, I'm not coming out without a meal. I have at least some soup.
And speaking of meals, we do notice that Billy has a little appetizer there by eating or sucking the tomato soup out of an airplane wheel and pop.
I couldn't decide if that was sexy or not. Like I'm 50-50 on that.
He's handing the wheel to a 10-year-old, so I would go with not.
Yeah, I would go with an emphatic
hot.
Not.
Yeah.
But I meant as the viewer. I'm just saying he's a good-looking guy.
Yeah, he has it. Now, the problem is we do these out of order, and I can't remember what order the fascinating story that Billy Campbell talks about being a good-looking guy. But I think it's coming up. Yeah. So actually, I think it might be later this week. So, but check,
yeah, I believe you're right.
Yeah, check back a little bit later because he has an interesting discussion about being a good-looking guy and his fortunes with women. But that'll be coming up. Actually, why don't we pause on this? Royana, you can come back tomorrow, right? We can talk a little bit more about this.
Absolutely.
Okay, well let's
100%.
Let's let the audience rest, and we'll
they're going to need some time to recover from this one.
Yes. So, but thanks for sticking with us on all this stuff. Of course, as we mentioned before, you can follow Royana's adventures, RoyanaBlack.com, or find her. Are you at Royana Black on Twitter? Is that right?
I believe I'm at Royana Black. Yeah,
Black
I do love the Twitter. I've really been enjoying it lately.
It's great.
The Twitter and the Google
and the Google.
Facebook.
Don't forget the Google.
Facebook, yes.
I'm 110 years old. What has happened to me?
The Google's actually.
And we're recording this on the Skype.
Yeah, so it's all working out. Wow. But you can catch up with all of us on social media there. Twitter, of course, we're on what are we again? Oh, Rocketeer Minute. And also Facebook.com/Rocketeer Minute. And you can find us at the big site, RocketeerMinute.com. We've got cool swag out there and copies of this movie so you can watch it and, just love it again and again. And, of course, iTunes and Google Play. If you go to any of those, type in Rocketeer Minute, 2 words. And when you see us come up, you just hit the subscribe button and you get this whole enchilada or tamale or ice cream, whatever it is, on your mobile device, so that while you're pedaling that stationary bike or standing on the treadmill and acting like you're exercising, you can listen to us and think about ice cream and tamales. You can have it delivered hot and fresh every day, Monday through Friday. So join us here tomorrow with some more Royana and more diner talk, and we're going to find out if Billy's going to swallow that airplane wheel. But check back with us here tomorrow on the Rocketeer Minute. Until then, over and out.